Today, we're spotlighting an event that's more than just a conference. It's a movement.
We're talking about the Consumer Impact Summit happening September 16th through the 18th in Bentonville, Arkansas, a town that's become a hub for global retail and consumer innovation.
We chose Northwest Arkansas because one of the things we perceived as missing in some of these discussions of purpose-driven business is the necessity of being successful in those businesses, all of the many operational challenges that every business person faces, overlaid by the challenges of having the best possible environmental and social impacts. And so the companies represented are companies that have set a very high standard for their company's impact as well as the company's economic success. And it's the operational people in these companies that have the most information to share. And we have a big emphasis in the way the event is structured on networking opportunities. So people have a lot of opportunity, not only to hear from each other in formal settings, but also to communicate informally and exchange a lot of information.
This event is your chance to plug into something bigger than business as usual. And there's no better place than Bentonville, Arkansas, where global retail meets local innovation. We'll be there, and we hope that you will too. Mark your calendars, September 16th through the 18th. Learn more and register at consumerimpactsummit.com. Let's help build a future where doing good is good business. See you in Bentonville. Welcome to Kev Talks, Real World Global Logistics. I'm Kevin Parkerson.
And I'm Kevin Higgins. Together we bring you over 60 years in combined experience in global logistics.
In each episode, we'll dive into the latest industry trends, share practical tips, celebrate wins, and share stories from the logistics front lines, all while helping businesses optimize their logistics operations.
Hey, what's up, KP?
Here
we are again.
Let's get started, man.
Let's go, buddy.
It's mid to late August. It's just hotter than I don't know what. I think we're supposed to get a cool front is what they said, and the highs are only in the 80s. So whatever that means, dude.
I don't know. I know that even the pool water is hot.
Yeah, right. Well, it's always funny, here in Northwest Arkansas, when the Washington County Fair shows up or the Benton County Fair shows up, that means it's probably at the height of the heat. Yep. And then after that, it does start cooling off. And this week is, the Washington County Fair, which I think is in the state of Arkansas. It's the largest fair in the state of Arkansas, I think.
Oh, I don't know, but I just know traffic's bad enough as is. We talked about this last week. Traffic's bad enough. Let's just add some fair traffic to it. I'd love to go have some fair food and get a good corn dog and some cotton candy, but I'm not going to fight the traffic.
We should do that. Also, there will be even more traffic because I'm not sure if you know this or not, but this is also the Bentonville Restaurant Week. You get all kinds of discounts and everything at all the Bentonville restaurants, which, there are tons and tons of new restaurants. But Higgins, what's your favorite restaurant, your go-to? And don't say Chick-fil-A. What's your favorite restaurant in Bentonville?
In Bentonville?
Yes.
Man, I can't think of the name of it, but the last place that I was, it was really good, was a sushi place in the new restaurant across from the Ledger.
Okay.
In that new hotel that they built. I can't even think of the name, but they have some really good.
I have not been there. Okay.
Really good sushi. And then, Table Mesa,
that's what I was getting. If you asked me the same question, I was going to say the staple for me. It's been there for so long. But also what's really interesting, I don't know if you saw in the news, that part of the square in Bentonville is up for sale for $17.5 million. Not just Table Mesa, but that whole side
building. Yeah.
Which I think part of it is actually a national monument or whatever, historical, siting or whatever, but $17.5 million for that piece of the square.
Yeah. I saw somebody do a return on investment analysis for that piece of property, and you can't get the rental rates in order. I don't know. That's just, I think it's crazy. That's a lot of dang money, dude.
Yeah. But right now, Bentonville and that part of town is hopping. I saw something. I'm going to get the number wrong, so people can message me and tell me how wrong I was. But I think the square footage for homes in that area of downtown Bentonville is over 550 per square foot. So
did we talk about this a couple of weeks ago?
We
Because
may have.
I have
I've slept. I don't know.
I have a friend of mine who told me that there's a roundabout numbers, 675 square foot condo for sale in Bentonville for $675,000. That's $1,000 a square foot.
Okay, well that blows mine out of the water. I'm not surprised.
I remember when the first $200 per square foot house was built in Northwest Arkansas, and it was in Rogers, and I'm just like, this is out of control. It's insane.
Well, listen, a lot of what's driving all that progress is the new Walmart home office, which isn't too far from downtown Bentonville. I say you and we do a remote episode. We do some segment, something where we give the audience a little bit of look of what's that campus is looking like. It's amazing. I'm not sure how much work is going on there, because it's a really cool place to just hang out at. Not when it's 99 degrees like today, but it's a really cool place to hang out at.
Yeah. We could just, hey, Doug McMillan was a young buyer when I joined Walmart in 1994. Doug, we would love to come up and take a tour of the campus and do a remote broadcast. I mean, we still know people up there, but
yes, we do.
I'm just, surely we can get an invitation to go up and do that, don't you think?
Well, then I think we have to do that. In fact, I say we're going to, we'll tell our audience, go follow us on either Instagram or on TikTok. And we'll put the content, the footage that we have from there. And if we get arrested for being in a certain area on the home office campus, we'll put that a little teaser on social media as well. But I say we go do that, relatively soon when it cools off a little bit, or maybe first thing in the morning. It'd
be a nice little fall thing, and maybe we can see maybe somebody will buy us a cup of coffee or something.
Okay, a pumpkin spice latte or something like that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So what else is going on in your world, man?
Well, listen, I think what's really interesting, and we'll get to the segment in a little bit, it's just the hot topic right now about transshipments when you talk about trade and compliance. I'm looking at my notes here. There's a recent article just in the last couple of days about U.S. importers and a network of Chinese shell companies funneled goods through South Korea, Indonesia, and Vietnam, repackage products and avoid tariffs. And I think my notes, if I'm looking at it correctly, the dollar amount was like over $400 million scheme, which is amazing. And a lot of people have been talking about this transshipment topic for quite some time, but we've got Harry F. Long and a segment from Heather Rush that will educate a little bit and share a little bit more details behind this topic.
Yep, absolutely. And so I say we let Heather explain to us, because there are two different ways to use the term transshipment, and they've both been around for a long time. And I think it would be very appropriate for Heather to let us in on that secret. So let's get to our Customs Quick Tip, sponsored by Harry F. Long with Heather Rush.
Hey there, welcome to Customs Quick Tips. I'm Heather Rush with Harry F. Long, and today we're cracking the code on transshipments, a word that can be either a logistical lifesaver or a customs compliance trap. Let's unpack the dual meanings by looking at a few examples. Transshipment sounds simple, but it's like a chameleon. In the world of shipping, it has one meaning, but a completely different meaning to U.S. Customs. Get it wrong, and you could easily be in hot water. In shipping, transshipment is a green light. It's the routine transfer of cargo from one vessel to another at a port en route. This occurs when there's no direct service from the original port of lading to the destination port of discharge. It can also occur when carriers are using a hub-and-spoke model to centralize their operations to move from smaller ports into larger ports and then on from longer hauls. An example, a container of garments moving from Manila to Los Angeles is offloaded in Singapore from vessel A and onloaded to vessel B. This is a perfectly standard legal move, and there's no customs drumming. To U.S. Customs and Border Protection, transshipment is a red flag. They view it as a scheme to hide a product's true origin in order to dodge tariffs, quotas, or possible sanctions. Routing Chinese electronics through Malaysia and declaring Malaysia as the country of origin is fraudulent transshipment. CBP's on high alert using data analytics and inspections to catch these. An importer recently faced a $50,000 penalty when their Malaysian goods were traced back to China with no proof of any substantial transformation. Substantial transformation. We talked about this some during the country of origin quick tip. What is it? It's CBP's test. A product must become a new product with a different name, character, or use in the second country in order for the country of origin to change. Repackaging or minor tweaks don't cut it. For instance, Chinese LED screens assembled into monitors in Mexico may be considered Mexican country of origin, but only if the process follows CBP's very strict rules. Otherwise, you're stuck with the original origin and all of its tariffs. To stay compliant, map your supply chain and verify country of origin through factory invoices, contracts, and production records. Ensure goods remain in customs control during transshipment and avoid false declarations. That's it for today's Customs Quick Tips. Master transshipment and keep your shipments legit and tariff ready. Have questions or need a great broker? Reach out to us at harryflung.com. Thanks for joining me today and hope to see you soon.
Hey, KP, before we get to our guest, which I'm super excited to have, Amanda Coates from the Port of New Orleans on today, Harry F. Long has something that they want to offer to our listeners. And so why don't you let them know what's up?
Yeah, just head over to harryflong.com and download their free customs compliance checklist. It's a must-have to keep your imports on track and avoid costly mistakes. So go check that out, harryflong.com, and download the checklist for free.
Today on Kev Talks, we're joined by Amanda Coates, Vice President of the Port of New Orleans. Amanda has built her career from the ground up, starting in vessel operations and equipment logistics with MSC, where she spent more than 15 years mastering every corner of ocean and inland supply chains. Since then, she's led business development, trade, and economic growth initiatives at the Port of New Orleans, most recently serving as a Chief Commercial Officer before stepping into her new role as Vice President of Cargo Development.
She's not only a seasoned commercial leader with deep expertise in ocean freight, inland logistics, and vessel operations, but also an active voice in the New Orleans business community through the St. Bernard Chamber of Commerce and the GNO Incorporated. Amanda brings a rare perspective that blends hands-on operational know-how with big picture strategy, making her one of the most dynamic leaders in the U.S. ports today.
All right, let's bring Amanda on. All right, Parkerson, it's all you, buddy.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, thanks. Nice to have you, Amanda. Welcome to Kev Talks.
Thank you for having me. So nice to be here with you guys. I got the Mississippi River behind us.
It's a great view.
That's awesome. So do you watch ships? I started to say boats, and I know it's not boats. Do you watch ships all day long out that window?
I actually am staring at a wall right now. So no, I do not watch ships all day long. But you know what? Every once in a while, I will walk into my office or walk down the hallway, and I'll see one passing, and I'm gauging, is it full? Is it empty? Happier when it's full.
Well, that gets me kind of to like probably one of the first questions, Higgins, that we typically ask, our guest. And did you ever think when you were 5-10 years old that you would have an office where you were watching ships go down the Mississippi River or in the Gulf?
Not in a million years. And in fact, just thinking about my history and how I got to the maritime industry, it was like many people. It was kind of by chance. I kind of fell into it. I was actually going to school at the time with a focus on health science and nursing, and started as the documentation at MSC.
Mm-hmm.
And 15 years later, found myself in a great position with so many different leaders over the course of 15 years. But it's become a part of my life. It's a part of who I am. I started in this industry when I was 21, I believe. And so 22 years later, I have grown in this industry, and it's a part of me. So the people, the customers, the Port of New Orleans. I've always been in New Orleans, and with NSC in New Orleans, various roles, of course. Started in documentation, and then various operational roles, landside, waterside, marine ops. And I've had so many just positive leaders over the last 22 years. I think leadership is important, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I never imagined that I would be in this industry. And in fact, I did not have plans to stay in this industry. Hence, I was going to school for something different.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what made you stay? I mean, that, like you said, that's a very, common theme or story about how people in this industry just fell into it. But there's a lot that fell into it that didn't stay. So what what made you stay? Outside the window, the view that you get, I mean.
I have worked with so many different teams with so many different backgrounds, and I really fell in love with the international aspect of the challenges of supply chain and problem solving. But listen, ocean carriers have extensive leadership programs. And when I started, Captain Arena was leading MSC, and that was followed by Claudio Bozzo and then Fabio Santucci. So really leaders that were, visionaries and very magnetic. And I grew up in MSC essentially, and that, really has made me stay and have this passion for our logistics, transportation industry, the stakeholders, the customers, and I kind of fell in love with the Port of New Orleans as well, and created some relationships here, and eventually found myself sitting in a desk here. So it's been a fun journey, but I think anybody who's in this industry, really, you have to love it. You have to love what you do on a daily basis, or it makes Monday mornings really, really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to love every day, but you have to love most of the days, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, Higgins and I are still in it. We're in it in a different way, but we're still in it. And we both have a passion for it, a love for it. And similar to what you said, the problem solving, the uniqueness, it's new, something new every day. And the people aspect of it, the people in the industry, I love most people in this industry.
Yes, it's so true. And it's ever changing, so you have to be adaptable, right? And you have to evolve with the times that are changing, and trade flows and things like that. So it's every single day is a new challenge, and there's not one year that's alike another year, right? I mean, this year we're faced with tariffs. We were faced with global supply chain meltdowns. You have security challenges on railroads. Many challenges that we have to think outside the box and overcome and come up with really creative supply chain solutions. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's that's part of the cool part. It's like there's days that are frustrating, but we're constantly solving problems and building for the future. And so that's what makes it exciting. But KP, I something she said would be kind of cool to do for all of us. Like, you were a health sciences major, right? Amanda, going into
go back and
college.
Figure out what everybody else is trying to do.
I was.
What was your vision for your career when you started in this industry or landed in this industry?
Absolutely.
You will get 1,000 different answers. So what were you guys? Just while we're talking.
I was a biology major college dropout.
Wow. Okay.
You worked at a dental office,
I
right?
was going to be
right,
I was going to be a dentist. I was a dental technician, so I used to do crown and bridge work. And then
Smile real big, Higgins.
They're all real. Yeah.
Right
And you
now,
know what?
for now.
I think in being a leader, you have to recognize that every person's journey to their path to how they've gotten to their place is different. And I think
Yeah.
that's in leadership, you kind of choose this path of understanding, kind of commitment above compliance, right? And understanding your team and their personalities individually and collectively, and bringing that together with their experiences. That's just one, piece of the big puzzle of your team. But their journey is so important to recognize and really, capitalize on, because not any journey is, the same. There's people from elite organizations, universities, and I can tell you that many people in this industry have forged their way in the industry with hard work
100%.
and grit and networking, and that is really important. And that is the success of professionals today, really, is hard work, grit, networking.
Yeah. 100%.
You are spot on. And I think, the words that you just said are because of the tenure, the seasonality, that the length that you've been in the industry. But is there a big shift, or of lessons that you've learned early in your career that now you use today? Is there anything that you've, kind of taken with you?
I think being humble, always recognizing that we don't know everything, and that we need to constantly be open for feedback and suggestions and personal and professional improvement. And being self-aware is so important. Making mistakes is important. These are all things that I still really, bring with me. And being an honest leader, communicating transparently, guidance, mentoring, and then finding, when I found myself complacent, I kind of really focused then on my community and bridging the maritime jobs to community, and that is what fueled my passion. So your passion is not always going to be coming to work every day and answering emails and hosting people and solving logistic supply chain problems. There will become a time when you are feeling that purpose and passion diminish a little bit, and maybe that shifts to your family, or maybe that shifts to you personally. I've been a mom 2 times, and I say 2 times because, interestingly enough, I have a 17-year-old and I have a 3-year-old, and so I call my son my second only child. And those 2 times in my professional career, I really just took a step back to pause and focus on the family, because that is really more important in the big picture of life, is spending those moments with them. So, those things I still take with me today, and I have an appreciation for my team, taking personal time off and balancing work and vacation time is important, and focusing on what drives you, whatever that may be, and whatever season that is.
That's great. I love all of that you just said, and I think that will resonate with a lot of our listeners. So very, very, very well said. So a 3-year-old and a 17-year-old, good span. So let me delve into that a little bit. So, I'm a grandparent. And the beauty of being a grandparent is all the things that, you probably heard this, all the things that you think you did wrong with your children, now you get a do-over in a way. How have you applied what a 17 and a 3-year-old, the things that you learned as a mom 17 years ago versus now? How are you applying that, or what is the approach?
You know what? It's really funny actually. So this time is I pause a little bit more. You know, being a first time parent, you're a little bit more uh, self-judging. You want things to be perfect. They can't get dirty. You don't want them eating this. I still stick to some of those rules, but I'll tell you, it's a very funny story. But our 17-year-old and our 3-year-old are exactly the same. They are they are they are the same in each other, and I see it, and it is so apparent. Both of them are going through many transitional changes developmentally, and one of them is, you know, yelling and slamming doors over mascara. The other one is slamming toys and, you know, wanting applesauce for dinner.
Yes.
So it's really
Yes.
just patience and being unshakable as a parent and just showing up constantly, unconditionally through the slamming of the toys and doors. And but yeah, it's challenging and it's also fun, right?
Yeah. I love what you said, like your second only child, right?
Yes.
Because of that span. And I'm the father of, we call her a singlet, father of an only child.
Yes.
And like you have been you were the playmate of your older child when they were younger, and you're the playmate of your younger child now. And I know that the 17-year-old probably jumps in there and does a bunch of things, but it
Absolutely.
is an interesting span and interesting view. So I love that. That's a whole other topic of conversation when you
It
start
really
talking
is,
about
and you
children.
know,
Yeah.
at a time a teenager is pulling away, it pulls them back in. So I am
Yeah.
happy about that, and so we, focusing on the family anyway.
Yeah.
It's
That's
what we
awesome.
all have to continuously try to balance, right?
Yeah.
Work,
Yeah.
life,
100%.
travel, and just keeping that harmony with all of that. Fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun. Yeah. So you mentioned travel, that one I want to pivot a little bit, travel. And I think you're in a great position. I would love to get your take on the pulse of the industry right now. I think you go out and visit customers, you're traveling out and about, they're coming in and visiting with you. What this being mid-August, what's the pulse? What's the vibe out there in the industry?
We've seen shippers obviously reacting to the tariffs by pausing. And so, the Port of New Orleans is unique in a sense that we have our overall exports are 70% of our containerized cargo, and imports represent about 30% of our containerized cargo. So we're a little bit isolated from the major tariff impacts. Our volumes are also split evenly between trades, so Latin America, Europe, and Asia, Europe including Med, India, and then, also Asia. So we're 30-30-30 across the board. And that helps us really stay isolated. As for the port, we're a very diverse port. We have, break bulk cargo, containerized cargo, we have cruise, we have industrial real estate, we also own the local short line railroad. So we have a really diverse portfolio of business lines that kind of keeps us insulated from some of these tariff impacts, but we are seeing a downturn. We've seen a downturn in exports. We have seen a downturn in imports. And so for today, we, as of, mid-year, we are 4% growth on containerized cargo, and we are flat on our break bulk cargo. So listen, a 4% growth, we'll take it in a year where, other ports are seeing major downturns and double-digit negatives. I'm happy to, have that diverse line of business where we can kind of pivot and focus on, at one moment we're focused on Asia growth, we're focused on Latin America growth, we're focused on Europe or India, whatever it may be. But we have that ability really to pivot to the market.
Yeah. In a time that's uncertain, a lot of people are uncertain about what's next, and we're going 30, 60, 90 days at a time, and sometimes days at a time. I think 4% growth is awesome.
Yeah. It means the ability to adapt. So I've heard uncertainty so much, but uncertainty means the ability to adapt quickly. Yeah. You have to do that. So that's what we do. We pivot. Yeah.
There you go. As a reminder, today's episode is brought to you by the Port of New Orleans, a modern gateway for global trade with direct access to river, rail, and road.
Port of New Orleans is the only U.S. seaport served by all 6 Class 1 railroads, giving shippers a real edge when it comes to inland reach and multimodal connections.
From moving containers and breakbulk cargo to serving as a major cruise hub, the Port of New Orleans is helping shape the future of global logistics right from the heart of the Gulf.
And a big thanks to the Port of New Orleans for sponsoring this episode and for the critical role they play in keeping goods and people moving. So the Port of New Orleans, like you just said, breakbulk, cruise line, 6 Class 1 railroads, deep water port. Is there a misconception about this port?
Yes. So the misconception is that we're predominantly a bulk port, and while we have bulk cargoes, we are more a containerized port, a growing containerized port. So our greatest volumes, we have moved 650,000 TEUs, and we have, capabilities for transloading, warehousing, container to rail, container to barge, container to transloading, warehousing facility. So I think the misconception is that New Orleans doesn't have the ability to handle some cargoes, but the truth is that we have the most multimodal options. We have the most connectivity in terms of the Class 1 railroads. All of our terminals are railroad served. So while we have 2 intermodal services, that would be the CN serving Memphis, Chicago, and into Canada. We also serve Kansas City and Dallas through the CPKC. But aside from that, what the ocean carriers are offering on the intermodal side, we have the ability to transload any container, put it into a rail car, put it into the barge and send it up the Mississippi River, or in a rail car and send it anywhere in the country. So we have every Class 1 converges here in New Orleans. And so we're the only deep water port in the United States that offers that connectivity. And it's an untapped opportunity. And we acquired the New Orleans Public Belt back in 2018. That is something that I believe if that acquisition would have been a decade earlier, we would have been further into our intermodal growth than we are. But nevertheless, we are the strongest intermodal port in the Gulf. We have the highest volumes of intermodal percentage, so we're at 8% intermodal. Wow. And so we're proud of that, and we want to capitalize on that. And I know that you've probably heard of our downriver location, and I'm getting ahead of us, but I'll throw it out there anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I was getting ready to get to it, but yeah.
Our goal is to move double the amount of intermodal that we are moving today. So we would like to scale up to about 16 to 20%. And so, we're building for the future. This bridge behind me actually is restricting us to 10,000 TEU vessels. We have a couple of 10,000 in rotation now, and we happily receive them most of the year, except for high river season that's restricting us. But we know that vessels are getting bigger. And so this project actually launched about 2 decades ago, where the state of Louisiana wanted to build a new container terminal downriver. And so we are the furthest that we have ever gotten in history on a new container terminal. So 2021, we purchased 1,200 acres. We will receive our Army Corps permit by early 2026, and we will break ground. And our partners, Ports America and TIL. So we are nearing 90% design, and so with that comes the focus on growing distribution centers. We focus on intermodal connectivity. Intermodal is so important with all of the changes that are happening in our industry, secure supply chains, you know, trucker shortages, and we will continue to see intermodal growth. And so we continue to invest in our existing storage yards and facilities so that we can keep our gateway fluid, so that we can handle those volumes whenever, as we're growing.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, or you asked earlier, kind of our background. I neglected to say, I actually have a marketing communications degree. I don't really use it, although maybe I am now a little bit more. But the name of this terminal, the Louisiana International Terminal, LIT, is like
Yes,
a marketing dream. There's so much that you can do with LIT in the promotion
yes,
of this terminal. So it's
yes.
fascinating to me.
And it's funny that you know, at the time we named LIT, we were actually kicking around some names. So there's a core team, an LIT core team, and our core team, we kicked around a couple of ideas, and at the end of the day, we just said, yeah, this makes sense, Louisiana International Terminal.
Do you
And
remember any of the other names? Can you share with us? Or do you remember any of the like really creative ones? They're like, nope, sounds good, but there's no way we can do
maybe
this.
the Gulf Gateway was
Oh,
probably Gulf
Mm.
Gateway Terminal.
okay.
That was probably one of them.
Any
Can't
Mardi Gras
remember.
theme? Was there a Mardi Gras theme terminal?
There never a Mardi Gras theme. So it was probably 2019, 2020. We were looking at, what was it, 2020? Maybe it was 2021 after we purchased the property. And immediately we started branding. We opened a community office. So we're in our 4th year of having a community office in
Wow.
Violet. And you know, that's what is still kind of fueling my passion. I'll tell you, a lot of people ask me, why did you leave MSC? It's such a great company. It's such a great team. Listen, the yellow will always be in my heart, right? But this project, being a legacy project, Louisiana International Terminal, along with leadership and the direction, and at the time, you know, I was really kind of searching for a new purpose, a new passion to add on, and found that this terminal is literally being built in my backyard. So I live 2 miles away from the location that the site that was selected for this
Wow.
project. And so it meant a lot to me to be able to bridge that gap between maritime jobs and the community, because I am a true testament of living that maritime path where you can grow into anything logistics that you might want to. You know, we see so many women in trucking today that we've, you know, more than we've seen in the past. And this is how people can make, you know, make a good living, support their families, and still be home at night with their families. So that was the passionate part of purpose that I just, you know, kind of leaned into.
Yeah, that definitely gets me to the next question. I think you're reading my notes in a way, you know, because I think your role bridges commerce and community, and you talked a little bit about that. But how do you approach growth that drives both revenue and that regional community impact?
That's really important, right? It's keeping that balance of, you know, cargo. Growing cargo is one thing. So at the port, we attract value-added services or value-added tenants to our properties. We would love them to be, you know, rail served. So if you're, you know, coming across our wharves from a front door perspective, you're also touching our properties from a storage, value add, packaging, warehouse, whatever it might be. And so that's one aspect of it. But bringing jobs and having generational impact on communities is the bigger piece of giving back to our city, giving back to the community. And this industry, even with the highlights through the pandemic, it is still very much a hidden industry.
Mm.
And so many people ask, what do we do? We have a terminal uptown New Orleans, and I cannot tell you how many people live uptown New Orleans and do not know what goes on behind the flood wall. There's a whole terminal back there where the magic happens.
It's a secret.
So it's important. It's important. You know what else is important is maintaining the quality of life, bridging the gap between communities and terminals. That's important. Right?
What a great city to be involved in the community.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
right?
New Orleans.
Yes, exactly. Louisiana actually has 1 in 5 jobs are tied to maritime related industry.
Wow.
And also, fun fact, the lower Mississippi River port complex, we move 500 million tons every year annually.
Holy cow, I did not know it was that much.
Right.
So we are working on projects today to collectively market that globally so that we are more attractive as a state.
I love that. Well, I want to jump back to the 1,200 acres and the new LIT. We have friends and friendlies at Ports America, both KP and I do. And so I think we need to make our way down to like the grand opening, groundbreaking KP.
I like how you weave that in. Yes.
You should.
It's a remote podcast in the making. Yes.
Yeah.
We will happily take you guys.
Yeah.
All right. We're booking our trip right now.
Yeah.
Well, no, Amanda, it really gets to, kind of the next portion. This is actually Higgins' favorite portion of the episode where we talk about food. And we did that with Janine, when we had her on. But tell us where your favorite lunch spot is when you want to not, I think the way Janine said it, when you want to go eat lunch, but you don't want to go back to the office. Where do you go?
I always come back to the office, but I will go to, usually that's a good spot in New Orleans is Pesh. So it's seafood based. They have a variety. You can order a whole fish, but I really love their oysters. And so my favorite dish would have to be either raw oysters or char-grilled oysters. So char-grilled oysters they're shucked. They're placed on a grill with a butter sauce that includes Romano and Parmesan cheese with parsley on top. So good, so good. You guys have to come.
I'm a deep fried guy.
Oh no, I'm so
That's
there
right up your alley
now. Yeah,
I will tell you, if you came to New Orleans, you'd leave with 5 pounds.
Yeah, raw.
Believe it.
Oh man, now I'm just salivating.
I know.
Right. Yeah, we're there. We'll be there.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds so good. Well, what is something that you would like everybody to know about the Port of New Orleans that they don't know?
Good question. We have the ability to provide optionality to shippers and a VIP service to shippers where they have not thought about. And I can openly state this because you guys will understand this. I don't want to use names, so you can cut this part out, but let's say a major retailer. We don't necessarily have a major retailer that has taken all of the resources or that exudes resources during peak season. So we are laser focused on providing that VIP treatment and service to the first comer. We are situated right between Houston and Florida in terms of population, but we have reach that they don't have. And so the intermodal connectivity and the reach is unmatched. It is also underutilized and untapped. And when you start to mix the modalities of container and rail, container and transload, that's where you start to have impact on landed cost, and that is so important. And so a lot of shippers tend to continue the beaten path of their port complexes that they are used to moving to, and adding that into their tenders, bids, it's not a first thought. But as we continue to grow it will be that risk mitigation point for shippers, that they're willing to do some trials and that they will see that flow and fluidity. We have 11 hours dwell on dock. On dock.
Wow.
To the rail. You're in
Holy
Memphis
cow.
in 12 hours. You're in Canada in 48 hours. Chicago, 36. So that's where we can really win. And I think the Latin America play is really big.
Yeah, I think you just hit, there's a lot of golden nuggets, of what you just said in there. If BCOs, our listeners, the BCO community will listen and digest what you just said, the optionality, if there's a proper strategy, in place at these BCOs, they should be talking to you for what you just said. And that can't be understated. So very, very valuable information. Wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I mean, what I heard you just say, Amanda, is that and I would challenge, it doesn't even have to be a major BCO, because
Right.
the smaller ones will be majors at some point.
That's
But
exactly right.
if you're
With the right partnership, they can be. Yes,
absolutely. If you're a growing beneficial cargo owner and you want to be taken care of, take a look at the Port of New Orleans, because we've seen in KP and I's history, we've seen what happens when somebody goes to a port that is not historically a containerized port, containerized terminal operation. So I think that anybody who's on a growth pattern and is looking to that multi-mode distribution out to the rest of the country need to give a holler.
Very well
absolutely.
said. Yep.
Aside from the terminal capabilities as a state, we are extremely aligned. So, we're a political subdivision of the state. We work really closely with Louisiana Economic Development and the state, regional, and local economic development arms. And we are laser focused on growing import distribution centers to really, give our exporters the reliability and equipment availability that they need to keep those manufactured exports here in Louisiana is very important for us, but also that balance of 50-50. And really, we'd love to achieve a balance of 60-40 and have a surplus of imports. We are very focused on that. We have been for a very long time, and we've aligned those synergies in a way that we will start to see some momentum as we go into growing our terminal downriver. It's going to require those distribution centers to grow. So recently we had a Agile Cold facility open in St. Tammany Parish, so right along that I-12 corridor. Is ripe for distribution centers. So we're excited about this initiative that we continue to push with the state.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Amanda, you've given some great advice already. But what advice would you give someone just starting out in global logistics who wants to follow a similar path like yours? Maybe somebody who's at MSC today. What advice would you give them?
There's a lot of advice I can give, but I think the most important pieces of advice, find your passion and really follow it fiercely. And when it shifts, you have to shift with it. Find a way or make one. And just staying the course, right? Staying the course and growing your network where you're going, not where you're at. Challenging yourself beyond your comfort zone. Being uncomfortable is uncomfortable, but at the same time, it paves the way for growth and learning. So being uncomfortable is a good thing.
I love what you find a way or make one.
You know what? Interesting story. We had this little messenger system, Microsoft Messenger system or something internally when I was at MSC. And that was my tagline, find a way or make one, because you have to find solutions for customers and for yourself and for your family and for your profession. Yeah. So you're either paving your path or you're staying where you're at.
Yeah. There's so much power in that right there for me.
Yeah. Very simple too.
Yeah. I'm putting it in my leadership folder.
Find a way or make one.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Amanda, this has been Absolutely fantastic having you on Kev Talks today.
Been
Hearing
great.
hearing your insights, really brings to life how leadership, vision, and real world experiences, like real world global logistics, are shaped. So, for our listeners, whether you're a small or medium sized importer, an exporter, or someone passionate about supply chain, Amanda's perspective is a reminder of how ports like New Orleans can open doors to new opportunities. So thanks, Amanda, so much for joining us, and let us know when the next event is that we can report live from. We'll see you there.
We will do that. We will keep you guys posted, and thank you so much for having me. Look forward to seeing you guys in New Orleans for some gumbo and some char-grilled oysters.
You
Yes.
got that right. We're going
Deep fried. Yes.
Absolutely.
No, Parkerson's getting you're getting them charbroiled, but come on, baby.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll do both. How about that?
There you go.
Well, thanks, Amanda. We
Thank
really
you, guys.
appreciate it. All right.
Thanks
Have
a
a
ton.
wonderful day.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Kev Talks, Real World Global Logistics. If today's discussion inspired you, don't forget to follow, subscribe, rate, and share our podcast.
Remember, every great journey in logistics starts with a single step forward. Let's continue working together to transform the industry.